I learned a lot about myself building this computer. One, my Dremel skills are awful, and two, I really enjoy water cooling, so that's that. So this is my entry for the Techvengers competition / collaboration. And if you don't know what that's about, then you can check out the video that I have detailing all of the rules and the regulations and how it goes on my channel. I think it's about 2 or 3 videos ago, but that has all the information that you need with it. Let's actually get into the components that I chose, the pricing of everything, and the entire process for making this Spider-Man themed $150 computer come to life. The socket that I chose is LGA775. Very old socket, and that's one of the reasons why I chose it. Because it's my first time modding, I decided to go with something that's cheaper, something that I won't really mind getting dirty, and if I mess something up, it's not going to cost me that much money because it's such an old socket. Now the CPU that I have is a little bit weird for the socket. It's the QX6850, which is actually a high-end desktop chip from the time. And now I have the same chip that I use in one of my older videos. I believe it's like the $48 or $80 i9 version from 2007. It's that same chip, and I picked it up for 40 bucks. Now you can get any Core 2 quad CPU on eBay for like $15 to $20 right now, so that's the price that I'm going to use. And I'm actually going to downclock the CPU too to kind of reflect the type of chip that you can get at eBay for that price. The motherboard that I chose is the same exact motherboard from that $48 i9 video as well. It's only about 30-40 bucks, I believe, when I picked it up, and it probably goes around the same price. It's the MSI P45 Neo 2. Now, this motherboard is actually pretty awesome. It has copper VRM heatsinks, which is not something that you see nowadays anymore, but it was pretty prevalent back then. And the heatsinks actually have fins on them, which is also something that is not too common. And I'm really glad that I didn't sell this motherboard or scrap it away, because the heatsinks are so big, they're so obvious on the motherboard, that it was a great starting point for modding. And that's exactly what I did. The spray paint that I picked up is actually Krylon blue spray paint, and this is spray paint that I saw another modder on YouTube use, so that's why I chose it. And it was also really inexpensive on Amazon. You also didn't need to do things like sanding or prime or anything. All of that was unneeded, and so it was just a really easy thing. Just kind of spray it onto the heatsink, and that's pretty much it. The only bad thing about the platform and this board, and this was very, very prevalent with other boards of this time, was the rainbow colored RAM and PCIe and pretty much any other slot on the board. It was just a very popular thing to add a ton of different colors to each of the different input and output ports on the board. And a lot of that was also technical, for technical reasons too, but it just didn't really look good. And so in order for it to match with the blue heat sinks, I had to spray paint the RAM, the PCIe slots, some of the SATA ports as well. So I taped up most of the motherboard with my painter's tape, frog tape, that I picked up for I believe $4 or $5 off Amazon. Taped everything up, used my Krylon blue spray paint, and spray painted everything over. The RAM that I have is two 2GB sticks of DDR2 memory, and it only goes for like 10 bucks right now on eBay. ECC registered server memory goes even cheaper. They're like practically giving it away at this point. But I'm not modding that RAM at all. I'm leaving it the way it is. It's just gonna function how it is. The video card that I have is the Asus GTX 750 Ti that I picked up for 60 bucks on AliExpress. This is a great entry-level video card, and I have a video showcasing that. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, and I'm not gonna mod this one because, again, black PCB, black fan, it already looks fine and it works with the rest of the color scheme. The power supply I got for free. It's actually from my $25 gaming PC build, which I got for free, like I already said, from a liquidating store, and I didn't really want to pick up a new power supply for such an older build, so that's just the one that I used. And the case is actually a pretty high-end case, but the reason why it's so high-end is because that is the case that we all decided to use for modification, and so I couldn't get around that. I had to purchase it for about 60 or 70 bucks, but it's actually a really nice case, and it kind of hurt when I started modding this thing because, like I said, my Dremel skills suck, and I kind of made this thing a little bit uglier than what it was before. After I finished modding the motherboard, I went on to make a little acrylic type sign thing for the front of the case. Now, this was inspiration that I saw from another YouTuber that is known for his modding, Tech, and it's also something that I've seen with just DIY channels in general, where you can make an RGB light up acrylic sign. And so I really wanted to implement that. It was definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone because I've never really worked with acrylic before, and this is a DIY project that I'm not very used to. So I picked up a 12 by 12 inch acrylic sheet from Amazon. I believe it went for 12 to 15 bucks or something. I got my Dremel. I sawed away or dremeled away. I don't really know. Is dremeling a verb? Oh well, we'll make it a verb for this video. And then I engraved the name Spidey on the front. Now, I was initially going to use armor etching, which is actually a lot quicker and a lot easier. You just need a stencil, and then you put the cream on top, and then it actually etches whatever you have inside of the stencil on the acrylic. I couldn't get it to work, so I scrapped that and I just went within an engraving tool that came with my Dremel kit. After I finished the sign, the hard part came, and that was actually making the window that the sign will go behind for the front panel. Now, this was my first time really actually dremeling something, I guess, or cutting something with a Dremel. Yeah, I'm a complete noob when it comes to this type of stuff. And so the cut was not straight, let's be fair. The cut wasn't straight at all, but I was able to kind of remedy it. It was a little bit tacky, but I got some blue electric tape and I was able to kind of smooth out the edges and kind of make a frame for my awful Dremel cut. After I got my ghetto side window all set and dremeled away, I got some basic Scotch tape, and I taped up these RGB to Molex sucks, I know, but RGB to Molex onto the back of the little Spidey acrylic sign, and then I used some standard mounting, double-sided mounting tape to tape it to the back of the front panel, and then showcase that on the front of the front panel. So I guess just the front of the case. At this point, the build was definitely lacking the red that Spider-Man has, so one way for me to add that in was with the PVC tubing of the water cooling loop. And the reason why I chose the PVC tubing to be red is because, one, easy way to add red, two, it's much cheaper than getting red dye, and three, I don't want to cheap out on dye if I have to get dye. And if I was going to fit this under the modding budget, I would have to cheap out on dye, which would probably not end well in the long run. So red PVC tubing was the way to go. The radiator that I picked up is a Bisky or Bisky, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but I only got it for 25 bucks from AliExpress. Now, this is a 240 millimeter radiator, completely copper, so I don't have to worry about any kind of issues with the copper water block and the copper radiator, and there's not going to be any issues with metals mixing at all here. The CPU water block that I got is only about 13 or 14 bucks, and I picked it up from eBay, very similar to the one that I had in my $100 custom water cooling loop, and it works just fine. The Reservoir Pump combo that I got is also pretty similar to the one for my $100 loop. I picked up the SC300T. Now, the one that they sent me isn't exactly the SC300T because that one has its fittings built in, and that was one of the reasons why I picked it up. This one did not, so I had to go around to Micro Center and pick up some new fittings. But it's pretty similar in terms of size and shape and everything, and it worked just as well as my Syscooling SC300T that I used in my previous water cooling loop. And finally, the fans that I got for the radiator were actually two red LED 120 millimeter fans from eBay. Unfortunately, the seller canceled my order. I'm not entirely sure why. It definitely was not a money issue. I double checked on that, but they canceled my order. And by the time that I realized that it was canceled and it wasn't coming in, it was a little bit too late for me to order any new cheap red LED fans. So I had to just find what I had laying around. And what I had was a BitPhoenix LED fan, red LED fan, which actually looks really pretty, and a Cooler Master one, which not as pretty as the BitPhoenix one, but it gets the job done. Now, they don't illuminate at the same degree, so it looks kind of odd with this build right now, so aesthetically it's not there, but hopefully you guys kind of get what I was trying to do. So like maybe the concept was there, but again, the execution just was not. And part of that was also because of the whole cancellation of the order. That is my submission, that is my entry for the Techvengers competition. Now, do I think I will win? Definitely not. I know for sure that I'm not gonna win. Would I do this again? Probably not. It was a good experience. It was definitely a fun experience, and I think everybody should, if you're really serious and you're really into PCs and everything, I think you should mod just to try it out, because this pushed me out of my comfort zone a lot. I grew a lot and I know what not to do now and how to kind of do things a little bit better in the future. Would it be better if I had more time? In some regards, like with the whole fan situation, maybe. With the whole dremeling situation, probably not. I just suck at dremeling. That's okay. But that's it for this video, guys. If you guys liked it, then leave a like. If you loved it, share and subscribe and all of that stuff. Make sure you check out all of the other tech YouTubers' submissions to this competition as well. And then you guys will be able to vote next week once we have our special guest hosting the final video. And then we'll see who the real winner of this entire competition is gonna be. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.